Welcome to All For You Stories, where we want you to think different so you act different. Let's go. Someone with no one. Chapter 13. You gotta choose. Images of the superhero struggling to carry his son ran through my mind while I sat at the bus stop. Never in a million years would I have thought I would envy a person who couldn't talk or walk. I picture the way his body twisted, the frozen position of his gnarled wrists and fingers, and I wished I could be him. I wanted to somehow switch places and find myself in a buggy, unable to move, but being pulled by someone who loved me. The man said something about already having a father who loved me, and I knew he had to be talking about God. But I couldn't buy it. God didn't even like me enough to give me a man on earth who didn't want to hurt me. An image of my father appeared, and anger consumed me. Everything wrong with my life could be traced to him. Not only did he fall short of the father in the video, he didn't even deserve the title of a father. I became so consumed with hate and disappointment, I crossed the street and got on the bus to go in the opposite direction of where I needed to go. I thought I might lose the courage to confront him, but when I walked through the door, I felt remarkably ready. I noticed the kitchen table filled with bottles in various shapes and sizes. Most of them were empty, but a few of them still had liquor for him to drink. I didn't know why this buffet of booze covered the table, but with so much of it around, I knew he couldn't be far away. Thinking about him drunk ate away at some of the courage, and when the door opened, it vanished altogether. "Boy, you scared me," he said, carrying a medium-sized trash can. I instinctively backed toward the corner and found myself pinned against the wall and the table of bottles. He walked towards me. I saw his mouth moving, but I could not understand anything. A combination of fear, anger, and jealousy brewed inside of me to the point where I lost control. My hand gripped the neck of a bottle, even though I did not remember picking it up. Then the bottle crashed against his skull. Seeing him stunned and frozen brought anger to the forefront of my stew of emotions, and my other hand gripped another bottle. I swung it towards his face with more force than the first time. It connected with his forehead, but didn't break. His knees buckled, and he fell back on the stove, causing an old carton of grease to spill on the counter. The sound of the stove banging against the wall snapped me out of my daze. My father didn't look as I expected. I thought that this would make him mad enough to want to kill me. But as he stumbled around trying to regain his balance, he didn't even seem or act angry. He seemed harmless, accepting. He turned toward me, lowered both his hands, and closed his eyes. I reached back as far as I could, twisted at the waist, and hit him as hard as I could. I heard the thump of the bottle hitting his head and him dropping to the floor. He lay motionless, with his hands resting next to him. Memory after ugly memory raced through my mind as I stared at him, not caring if he lived or died. When I got back to the alley, the old man sat on his pile of junk, sorting through the rest of his junk. He picked up a yellow and beige packaging with cursive writing on it. "I saved you some of what I got today," he revealed, reaching out a half-eaten Subway sandwich. I wonder whose teeth bit into it, even though it didn't matter. I thanked him and walked to my spot when his voice stopped me. "You're going to have to make a choice." "Excuse me?" I said. "You're going to have to figure out if this is the life for you. Days ago, you wouldn't have touched a sandwich from here. But now you're starting to accept this life, and you're going to have to figure out if it's so bad where you're coming from that you're willing to stay where you're at." I took advantage of the reflection of the streetlight and studied his face. His beard partially hid it, but it still looked aged and worn, like an old pair of boots. The endless lines around his eyes led to pupils which appeared soft and harmless. I peered into them and felt safe. I sat on a crate and told him all about my life, from my dead mother to my drunk father and the girl who dumped me to be with someone who might not exist. I thought he might have fallen asleep because he didn't move or talk the whole time. But when I finished, by telling him how much it upset me to see the father on the video doing so much for his son, he spoke right up. What he means is, even though it sounds like your father ain't worth a nickel, we all have God who loves us all. I'm not going to sit here and tell you if he's right or not, but I do know that's what he means. He coughed and searched for a cough medicine, which resembled gin. He took a swig and turned back to me. I've been mad at God for a long time now, but I know he out there. I've done some pretty bad things, some real bad things, and there ain't no other to explain how I'm still alive. The pain of losing your mother, I can talk about, because I know that pain. I got more pain than you got time, so if you want to listen, I can speak on it. Now about your father, I can't speak against him, because I ain't never been one myself. At least, I ain't never been a good one. He stopped and waited for me to say something. I took too long. So what part do you want to talk about? I don't know. All of it's confusing, I said. What part? The part about God, I guess. The man in the ugly shirt talked about God going through a lot to get to a beat up doll. And then the other man talked about God being a father who loves you a lot more than the man in the video. He stopped talking like he expected me to say something. I stayed quiet and it bothered him. What are they teaching y'all in school these days? You can't figure it out? Figure out what? I asked. Boy, you is the doll God is searching for. I know, but if God loves me so much, why does he have me go through all this? Good question, he responded. It's just another question I don't have an answer for. He repositioned a large plastic bag beneath him, indicating the conversation would soon be over. He rolled his neck around and snuggled into his pile of junk. Sometimes when you got questions, the only thing you can do to get the answer is to go find the answer. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, tell somebody else about us, and do what needs to be done. Peace.